Have you ever noticed that when people say they don't believe in God, they don't actually stop believing? They just believe in something else. And that's the tension behind this idea. The trouble with not believing in God is that you end up believing in anything. Because the truth is, the human heart was never created to be empty. It needs something to trust, something to follow, something to give meaning. So when God is removed, you don't become neutral. You become vulnerable. The Bible shows this pattern clearly. In Matthew 12:43-45, Jesus describes a house that becomes empty. And because it's empty, something worse comes back to fill it. That's the danger of emptiness. If God isn't filling your life, something else will. And not everything that fills you is good for you. Let's go back to one of the clearest examples in the Bible. The story of the golden calf in Exodus 32. The Israelites had just witnessed miracles. They saw the sea split. They walked through on dry ground. They saw God provide food in the wilderness. They knew God was real. But then something happened. Moses went up the mountain, and he didn't come back right away. And in that moment of waiting, they got uncomfortable, restless, uncertain. So what did they do? They went to Aaron and said, "Make us gods who will go before us." Think about that. They didn't stop believing. They just couldn't handle not seeing something. So they took gold, melted it down, and created a calf. And then they said, "This is your God, Israel." Let that sink in. They replaced the God who split the sea with something they made with their own hands. Why? Because they wanted something visible, something controllable, something immediate. And honestly, we still do the same thing today. We may not build golden statues, but we build modern calves. Some people build their identity around money, others around relationships, some around social media validation, others around their feelings or opinions. And without realizing it, they start depending on those things the way we were meant to depend on God. But here's the problem. Anything you create can't sustain you. Anything you control can't guide you fully. And anything temporary can't satisfy something eternal. That's why Ecclesiastes 3:11 says God placed eternity in the human heart. There is something inside of you that this world can't fill. So when you try to replace God, you don't find freedom. You find frustration. Let's make this real. Have you ever put your hope in something, thinking it would finally make you feel complete? Maybe it was success. Maybe it was a person. Maybe it was being accepted. And for a moment it felt like enough. But then later, it wasn't. That's not random. That's the reality of building your life on something that can't hold your weight. The Bible warns about this in 2 Timothy chapter 4:3, that people will stop listening to truth and follow what they want to hear. And when that happens, anything can feel right, even if it's wrong. And this is where it gets dangerous, because without God as the standard, truth becomes personal. And if truth is personal, then nothing is stable. One person says this is right, another says it's wrong. Now, truth isn't truth anymore. It's preference, and you can't build a solid life on preference. That's why Jesus said in John 14:6, "I am the truth." Not a truth, the truth. Meaning, truth isn't something we create. It's something we discover in Him. And this brings us back to the Israelites. Their problem wasn't that they stopped believing. Their problem was they believed in the wrong thing. And it cost them, because what you place at the center of your life shapes everything. So here's the question for you. What's your golden calf? What do you run to when you feel uncertain? What do you depend on when life gets hard? Be honest, because whatever that is, that's what you're trusting. And God isn't asking you to live empty. He's inviting you to be filled with something real, something stable, something true. So instead of creating your own version of truth, seek the one who is truth. Before you scroll, I want you to interact with this. Drop a comment. What do you think people today are replacing God with the most? And if you're being real, what's something you've struggled with putting above God? Let's have an honest conversation. Because recognizing it is the first step to changing it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Sight Kids and Niños con Vision.